Good day, everyone, and welcome to Music Works Live. Today, I'm very excited to welcome again Katie Beardsworth of Polyphony Arts, who will be introducing a new series of episodes, which we will go live on our Thursdays, every Thursday at the same time, 8:30 in the morning EST, which is whatever that time zone is for our viewers. Welcome, Katie. So glad we decided to do this new format.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be doing it too.
So tell us a little bit how you came to this decision to expand your Music Works podcast and to include this new format, which is very different from what we've been doing so far.
Yeah, I've been doing the Music Works podcast for a season now, and season 2 launched last Sunday. And we're recording that as we go, and that's I like that format that we're doing. If anyone's listening, is of interviews, which are obviously on a whole variety of topics, and my aim is to sort of showcase the various stories and things that are going on in the classical music industry at the moment, and to look at those things and what they mean and what people think about the future for classical music.
And you go quite in depth in every episode. So each one of them is about 45 to 60 minutes long, and our guests have an opportunity to explore and expand with their answers. It's not just a sketch. So it's a much more in-depth and involved discussion and analysis.
Exactly, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to start a podcast, was to have a platform to have in-depth conversations and really explore topics. So I'm enjoying that, but then I felt the need to have something with a different purpose. So these micro podcasts that we are starting today are short episodes in which I will talk about a specific area of music business with a view to an audience of musicians, music professionals and other creatives. And it's just a short, here is what I think about one topic. So I would love to hear what people think about
this. So how short? What's the format is going to be, and how short, and who prospective guests are going to be?
At the minute, I'm thinking this is going to be just me, or possibly invited guests who will also deliver a short thought. This one, I'm not sure. I timed it as about 7 minutes, so we'll see whether doing it live speeds it up or slows it down. But I'm thinking 5 to 10 minutes. I know, a little challenge there. But yeah, I'm thinking 5 to 10 minutes. Like a sort of a thought that people can dip into, so if people don't have time to listen to a full episode or a full interview, they can get some kind of brief thoughts and opinions.
So more like a spotlight on one more narrow focused topic. And of course, we would love to hear comments about this episode and about the plans for this format. And Katie, I think we probably would welcome people reflecting on the short episodes, and potentially we could expand on them if there is quite a bit of feedback and questions from other people. We could expand and maybe do a full length, more in-depth episode on the topics which people are more interested in. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear if people are interested in hearing more, and happy to answer any questions in comments, either immediately after the episode or later. I'll be checking back. So
so please make sure to comment. Please make sure to comment. Please get back in touch with us. We're really looking forward for your feedback, because that we want to really bring to you what you need and want to hear. Are we ready for the episode?
Sure.
Okay, there we go.
Great. Lovely. Right, good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon here in the UK. And today, for my first Music Works micro podcast episode, I want to talk about money mindset. Now, what is money mindset? Money mindset is a set of beliefs and values about money. Everyone's money mindset is unique to them and based on their experiences of money from early childhood onwards. Our parents, friends, partners, colleagues all have influence over our money mindset. So if you're listening, I just want you to think back to your childhood and some things about money. How did your parents treat pocket money or presents? Did they have certain things that they had no problem finding money for, but other things it was more tricky. And I don't mean in terms of being able to afford things, I mean in terms of their sense of value. So to clarify this idea, I have an example from my own past. My own parents were very keen to teach me the value of money, and I remember not wanting to ask for anything above my sort of agreed pocket money, as I didn't think it would sort of go down well. However, I know and I can see as an adult that I was given things all the time, and that I was kept in obviously clothes, food, holidays, music lessons. So it wasn't that they weren't providing for me, it was quite the opposite of that. It was more of a message about frugality and about being careful with money and about certain things having worth over others. Now, obviously, that is an important lesson for any child to learn. However, that frugal message really hit home for me, and it has impacted my attitude to worth and to value, particularly when it comes to treating myself. Now, the point of telling you this story isn't to criticise anything, and I believe that everyone will have their own versions of this. It's more to kind of highlight the kind of lasting impact of the attitude that parents have to money. So this translates into how I feel about money now, and it will do for you too. Think about your own spending. Do you happily spend £100, for instance, on an instrumental lesson, but battle with the decision to spend £20 on a jumper? And might that be, if so, that the instrumental lesson feels like a necessary investment in your work, but the jumper feels like an extravagance? We all have different levels of acceptability when it comes to money, and specifically value. I've noticed this recently, and I have an example now from adulthood, and bearing in mind what I said about my sort of attitude to treating myself. I decided recently, we had a special occasion coming up, and I went to a wine shop in Delhi to buy cheese and wine for a special occasion. I knew that it was an expensive shop, or in my head it certainly was, and I had in mind that this is a special treat and, something that didn't happen every day. Once I was there, I got absolutely amazing service. The owner of the shop gave me tasters of wine so I could choose the one I wanted the most, and I spent ages deciding on selection of cheeses and a bottle of wine. And because of the quality of the produce and the bespoke service I'd received, I was basically absolutely dying to spend more money in there. Anything the owner had suggested, I'd have tried it, I'd have potentially bought it, or certainly wanted to buy it, maybe clocked it for a future occasion. And this is because I trusted him, and he'd listened to me and what I wanted, and had demonstrated that he understood and offered quality and value. And reflecting on this experience afterwards, I think that if I had been presented with a cheese board and a bottle of wine in a supermarket for half the amount that I spent in that shop, I'd have felt it was overpriced. And the occasion would have felt less kind of valuable and special. So I'm just using this as a fairly flippant example of how our mind goes to value. This goes much deeper when we consider how our money mindset impacts our sense of self-worth. As a musician, setting your fees and your aspirations for your career feels like setting your own worth. I have discussions with musicians all the time about what to charge, how to judge the level to pitch fees at, and so on. If you have a scarcity mindset, this is so difficult, because you're trying to predict the money mindset of the people that are hiring you, and that is as variable as their own experiences. So what is a scarcity mindset? Now, I feel like this is at the nub of a lot of problems with music and money in music. A scarcity mindset is when your mindset is set to believe that there isn't enough to go around. This could refer to anything, but for musicians, it relates to money big time. This is such a huge problem for the industry that the idea itself perpetuates through generations of musicians and people involved in music. How often do you hear there's no money in music, or we do it for love, or perhaps the fees are bad but we do it anyway, it's great exposure. This belief circles the industry like a spiral staircase. People climb the staircase of their careers, but they keep returning to this place of scarcity. This is because there's always someone that's willing to do it for free, so the organisations that produce music opportunities often don't need to pay for it properly. Now, I'm always careful when I talk about this, because I think it's possible for musicians to feel that it's their fault, particularly when I talk about changing the mindset. this isn't the case. It's come about because of a cycle of events that leads to music not being budgeted for properly. Then anyone going into the industry is told there's no money in it, and so it goes on. Now, I believe that everyone is fairly well-meaning in this cycle. Often you get music organisations or organisers, promoters that feel that they're tied to a budget, which of course they are, and it's because this cycle has perpetuated. So I find it difficult to find people who, when they think about it, don't think that music is worth more. It just seems to be beset with practical problems and kind of underlying mindset issues that again, when I thought about, people don't really agree with them, in my experience. So, what can we do? How can we help mindset in music, money mindset in music? So I've got a few tips here. It's not all inclusive, and there are other things, of course. I'm personally quite dedicated to trying to change this on an industry level, but this is aimed at you personally. If this is something that you struggle with, here are some ideas. So first of all, if you're in a bad mindset place, or you feel like your money mindset isn't what you want it to be, or it's having an impact on your career, be understanding to yourself. The money mindset of the industry is very damaging. Add into that the nearly impossible task of creating your own sense of self-worth and promoting yourself and your craft. I really think this is one of the hardest things that musicians are tasked with. Secondly, notice the money messages you are receiving from other people or messages from your past. What do you place value on? Essentials, treats, holidays, music, gifts for others. Most of us give different values to different things. See if you can identify where those messages come from. And when you're thinking about where they come from, think, are they constantly being repeated by people in your life now, or situations that you're facing now? Or are they from the past and from childhood or growing up? So for anything in your life now, I really recommend that you think how you can change it, or at least stop hearing it. Do you have an assumption about a fee level for some work that's in the pipeline? Maybe you could challenge that assumption. Ask for double what you had in mind and see what happens. I know that sounds, that might sound impossible, but I really recommend that you try it. There's absolutely nothing to lose. In my experience, I've never known anyone retract an offer of work because the fee level is too high. They just negotiate down if it's really impossible for them. Do what you can to surround yourself with people who think like you do. It can be really hard to have a different mindset from your friends and family. Struggling with parents telling you that you'll never make a living? Stop engaging in conversation about it, or even better still, talk to them about how this feels. Maybe even play them this podcast episode and ask them to see things differently. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and found it interesting. I've personally found an enormous change in my sense of self-worth and my income from looking in detail at my money mindset, and I really encourage you to do the same. If you need help, you can find like-minded people at Polyphony Arts. Subscribe to Music Works, where you can listen to lots more episodes about the classical music business, and sign up to our mailing list on our website, www.polyphonyaarts.com/mailing-list. And if you really want to dive in, have a look at our strategic coaching program, where we can go in depth together and stop that scarcity mindset from holding back your career and income. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Katie, so much. That was really enlightening. I'm a professional musician, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Expecting scarcity and lowering the fees to match some imaginable market, which for some imaginable reasons, all assumptions, all based on nothing but fantasy, for some reason will not pay for my real value. And the perpetual feeling of being downplayed, undeservingly, and of being not invited to do things which I'm worth doing. These are all problems of every musician, no matter if it's the highest level musician with grand international careers or musicians, everyday music teachers from the neighborhood. Thank you so much for raising this. This is
You're so
fantastic.
welcome.
Yeah, I was glued to every word you were
Oh,
saying, and I was
thank
going
you.
like, yes, we have to change the mindset because that's how we change the reality. Because our mindset affects every step and every action we take and every interaction with other people. And it can be so much more positive and so much more productive, so much more fulfilling for everyone. I think for the industry too.
Yeah, I
Because
agree completely. It's so freeing to realise that there are people who see £1,000 completely differently from how you might see it, and it's just it is really true, and it can be so hard to see. And this is why I think it's so important not to listen to these messages if you're surrounded by people who feel the same. It's even harder to see that there are people who have a completely different attitude to money if you're in this kind of echo chamber where everyone feels the same.
I absolutely agree. This goes back to the other scarcity. Scarcity, our perception of the scarcity of mindset. I think it's very wrong to assume that everyone thinks the same way. I love what you say. Try asking for double. What you get to lose? You don't even know what
Yeah,
people will say. They might just simply say, "Oh, sure," or they may negotiate
exactly.
down. And you're learning the basics of business, music business, which we all need to learn. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. And
Thank you,
looking
Anna.
forward to our next episodes. This is enlightening and uplifting.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye again. See you all.
Oh, bye. Thank you. See you.